And may I request Rob, Juliana, and Nikki to please join us. Well, gentlemen, now the floor is open for Q&A. If there are any questions that you would like to ask our designers, please feel free to do. Yes, Vaibhav.
Thank you. My question to you is, since Nokia is supporting a lot of platforms, again coming back to that, for example, now the Symbian Foundation is a separate foundation. Nokia sold it off, it's become open source. So how does digital design on a platform which Nokia is going to support, make devices on, run concurrently with the efforts of the Symbian Foundation? They create a release. For example, Sony Ericsson has this racial UI. The Android devices from HTC have the Sense UI, and some of the Windows devices as well. So is Nokia looking at building a new UI on top of what Symbian is doing? Or how do you guys interact with each other to create a uniform design which is spread across all the devices or the entire portfolio?
Should I take that one? Yeah. Okay. I knew exactly how I was going to start then, and now I've forgotten. I think with, I mean, for us, we work for Nokia Design, and we're very focused on creating designs for Nokia, so for Nokia phones. So we're looking at what people will use on phones that are Nokia phones. So that's a kind of starting point for that. I mean, we have a number of platforms, as you know, and we're looking at how you have a level of consistency across all of those platforms, so people know that it's a Nokia. There's a kind of Nokia-ness about it. But that doesn't mean that every platform has to look exactly the same. It's how you get that level of Nokia-ness, how people understand it's a Nokia phone, without everything being exactly the same. But within Nokia Design, we focus on Nokia phones and Nokia designs.
I think there are multiple levels there, because Symbian is an operating system. It's a skeleton, so you want to make any animal skeleton ergonomic enough so that it has a certain basic function shared, because it benefits users if there's a commonality. But when it comes to product and having the recognizable brand, it's a completely different issue. It's almost like your face is your brand, and there's an issue of, well, having a Rob as a brand and recognizable brand on top of the common skeleton that we share together. But Rob is a skin and it's a brand. Sorry, sorry, I'm using you as an example. They're so convenient to use. So when it comes to making the digital design, their UI design has several depths, and I think there's a very important part is a branding. And that comes from various aspects, from visual and also certain kind of cream of the crop. You know?
I mean, that's what I mean by the Nokia-ness, the branding, how things feel very like a Nokia phone. But you wouldn't overtly think of them as branded Nokia.
And if I may follow that up, for example, say a new release of Symbian comes out, say V3 comes out in the next 6 months. So there is that unique Nokia-ness to a Nokia Symbian device which you provide. Now, at what stage of this development phase do you get involved to start making that Symbian V3 look like a Nokia, rather than say what Sony will make it look like, or say some of the other Symbian partners? So what level of development are you working together with the Symbian Foundation, or it's only when the design is ready or the package is ready that you get it, and then you spend, say, 2 months customizing it, and then the device comes out? So my basic question, what time do you get involved?
One example is this model of home screen that we have been designing, and making it available for such a broad audience. The intention is to keep like the core elements of it the same, and then adapt it to each user group needs. And that is very much Nokia. I don't believe there's any other company, mobile phone company, that actually attends to so many different user groups. You have people in rural India using the life tools, for instance. I don't think there's any other company that has reached that far. And I think there's other aspects that you could point out that this occurs, like the icons as well. Do you want to?
Yeah, I think with the icons, it's one of those, I guess, branded visual aspects that transcends across all of our different platforms that we have to give this kind of consistency across the different platforms.
Hello. I have a question. In the context of icons, increasingly there is the app stores and things like that that have come in. There was cohesiveness to the Nokia experience and the older phones with third-party applications and icons that come into the phone. There's a sort of a inconsistency that comes in. Is there sort of something that Nokia design actually briefs developers or things like that, or is there any way to sort of provide cohesiveness to the Nokia experience?
Yeah, that's something that we've been working on in terms of building consistency outside also what we're providing with our phones. So providing guidelines for people to create icons, to build that kind of consistency and extend the language that we're creating.
Okay. I have a second question, which is regarding interactions. Specifically interactions for emergencies and medical emergencies. As devices become more complex, there are more things on screen, but an emergency would leave a person sort of severely restricted in their ability to interact with a mobile phone. Any thoughts on that?
Well, actually, one of the examples we used in gesture testing was calling in emergency. And it seems like if I can generalize what we learned from the study, gesture seems to be quite suitable for two extreme feature sets. So one feature set, I could describe it as something that you use really frequently every day, several times. It almost becomes a habit that you do it unconsciously, like checking time. But the other end of the spectrum is something that you use quite rarely, but alternative interaction method would really benefit the user because you may not be able to press the button accurately, and you may be compromised in certain ways. But of course, the emergency was really well received, especially in the low engaged user groups, because they see the real value in doing that. If they fall and there is no one around, the mobile phone's over there, but you just try to make certain actions. The concern is that those situations, if you make a mistake, you will become the boy who cried wolf, because you might send false alarms. So malfunction or a misinterpretation of that gesture is not acceptable. So we understand there will be really good acceptance, but it's a function that also should be designed really carefully, also considering the social consequences.